Good morning, everybody. We are here at the session, the Post-COVID-19 Recovery for Cities, the new European Bauhaus Initiative. Welcome, everybody. My name is Rosalinde van der Vlies, and I'm here today with Xavier Troussard, and we will also hear from Michela Mangas, and we will have 3 citizens from the European Union with us today that were engaged in stakeholder engagement activities, and we will learn what they learned and what great ideas they have for the post-recovery of our cities after the COVID-19 crisis. So the 3 citizens that we will be having with us today, they participated in online citizens engagement events where there were over 120 Polish, Estonian and Bulgarian citizens that were sharing their ideas how we could reimagine our neighborhoods and build back better our neighborhoods after this crisis. The citizens also shared during these events what they've learned, what they take away from the crisis, and now we are in the moment of recovery, and this is really the moment to reimagine together a better and more sustainable future. But before we listen to our citizens that will represent the ideas that came out of these events, let us first dive quickly into the policy context within which these citizens' engagement have taken place. And I'm very happy that I have with me here today Xavier Troussard, who is a colleague of mine in the European Commission. Xavier is a head of unit in the Joint Research Center, and he is responsible for the implementation of the new European Bauhaus Initiative, which is really a big priority for the European Commission and also for our President, Mrs. von der Leyen, personally. So Xavier, I'm really happy that you're here with us this morning, because Xavier is actually one of the most creative heads of units that I've met in the Commission. Xavier has been pioneering a policy lab to really work with citizens and have citizens engaged in policy making, and now the new European Bauhaus is the next big step in the citizens' engagement activities. So Xavier, could you please tell us a bit more about this new European Bauhaus Initiative and the citizen engagement activities there?
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Rosalinde, for the kind words. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you. It's a particular pleasure when we have the opportunity to have direct conversation with citizens that have given their time to support our initiatives. The new European Bauhaus is indeed an initiative which is by nature and by design a participatory initiative. The ambition of the new European Bauhaus is to empower the creation of beautiful, inclusive and sustainable cities, forms of living, and therefore it's a way to inspire and to concretize the big transformations that are going through Europe and the world, the green transformation, the digital transformation. It's the ambition to launch a movement of co-creation, co-design, co-development of new places, new lifestyles that are bringing more social quality to our life, but also more harmony with the planet. So you will concur with me that we need citizens at the core of this initiative, and that's why we didn't start this initiative with the traditional Commission paper, but we started with an invitation to have a conversation about what it means for people to be beautiful, to have inclusion, to have sustainability. We've done it in inviting people to organize conversations. We've got thousands of people that have joined events and conversations. We have collected examples, we have collected visions, ideas, challenges. We have more than 1,700 inputs on our website. At the same time, we've used an invitation to compete for a prize, to look at further examples and further projects and concepts, and we had more than 2,000 people joining this competition. So the citizen and their ability to participate has been at the core of our initiative. And of course, we are now trying to make sense of the contributions. The design phase will end at the end of this month, and we will come with the conclusions in September with the first elements of support. But the element of engagement, the element of community building will remain at the core of this initiative.
Thank you so much, Xavier. It's really inspiring, and I'm so happy that you started saying, that we don't start with a commissioned paper, but we start by listening to our citizens. I think that is really extremely important, and this is also indeed about creating a movement and a new way also of policy making. So thank you so much for these very inspiring words. Let me say a few words before we go to our citizens that are with us today that participated in the event about the Horizon Europe mission. Because the Horizon Europe missions are very complementary to the new European Bauhaus Initiative that you just explained to us, Xavier. The Horizon Europe missions are actually a novelty of the framework program Horizon Europe. And the idea behind this novelty of the framework program is indeed to get closer to our citizens and to involve our citizens in the to solve basically the challenges that we are facing in the society. And we are preparing 5 missions under Horizon Europe, and the aspiration of these missions is, for instance, to save 3 million more lives from cancer, to restore 75% of the soil in Europe, to make sure that our cities and communities are ready for climate resilience. We also want to restore our oceans and our waters, and we want to have at least 100 climate neutral cities in the European Union by 2030. So these Horizon Europe missions, they are there really to look together with the citizens in a bottom-up way to solve these big challenges that we are facing. We are currently preparing detailed implementation plans for this mission because, of course, we want these missions to not be mission impossible, but we want them to be mission possible. And that's why we need to make sure that these missions will be ambitious, but at the same time also, of course, realistic. And they should really also be a source of inspiration for our citizens. So we hope to get the green light soon from our commissioners to start the rollout of these missions, then hopefully after the summer. Let me say a few brief words in particular on the cities mission, because of course cities are really the place where we can connect the policy with the real life, and cities play also a very important role in the green transition for the European Union. We have 70% of our greenhouse gas emissions that currently come from the cities, so we really want to make sure in order for us to become climate neutral that we have solutions that are tailor-made for the cities, and solutions that will also have been developed and designed from the beginning with the citizens that live in the cities. So within the context of the cities mission, we plan to support the cities to develop climate contracts, climate city contracts that really are a tailor-made, detailed approach for each city, and we would like to co-design these contracts together with the citizens that live in these cities. And of course, the cities mission is also closely linked to the European Bauhaus Initiative, where we want also in the implementation of the cities mission, once we get the green light to go ahead with it, to make sure that we apply the values and the principles of sustainability, of inclusiveness, and of aesthetics. So in that context, we also plan in September to launch a call where we will be investing 25 million euros in lighthouse projects for cities to also incorporate these values and principles of the new European Bauhaus Initiative. I really think that, coming out of this crisis that has taken a big toll on all of us in the whole world, but it also has shown a clear demand from our citizens to build back our society more green, more sustainable, more resilient, and more inclusive. So with the new European Bauhaus and the Horizon Europe missions, we really plan to build on this momentum that now exists in the European Union in order to build back a greener and better society. So this is about the policy context. Let us now quickly move to these very exciting citizens' engagement events that have been taking place. And we would like to start with a short video that will take you back on the journey and show you how these events have been taking place in practice. So let's start with the video so that we can see what actually happened on the ground. Thank you.
Takiego właśnie pogorszenia zdrowia psychicznego, bo ludzie zostali niesamowicie przestraszeni.
Nie zrobili nic, żeby ludzie czuli się bezpiecznie, żeby zminimalizować strach.
Mi się podobało przed COVID-em, wszystko podobało przed COVID-em, to co nam COVID zabrał.
Спокойствието, което имахме, когато бяхме с повече хора.
Басейни, хотели, семейни почивки.
Wiemy, jak się zachować w czasie pożaru. Robią próby, tak? Jak się ludzie ustawiają, gdzie mają się ustawić, którymi wejściami mają. Wydaje mi się, że to jest też takie coś, że społeczeństwo totalnie było nieprzyszykowane.
Ja siis ka digitaliseeruvas maailmas inimeste vaimse tervise eest läbi looduse hoolt kanda.
Człowiek, który się tam znajduje, powinien się czuć, że ktoś na niego czeka i chce mu pomóc, żeby
Tworzyć miejsca, gdzie ci ludzie będą mogli się poczuć bezpiecznie, w których będą mogli zaufać, więc
linn ja liikumine peab olema turvaline nii 8-aastasele kui 80-aastasele.
Lähendab kogukondi.
So this looked really like a very exciting and inspiring event, and it's of course a very good moment to collectively reflect on what we actually took away from this period, and also, how we can build back a better future. So now it's my immense pleasure to introduce to you our 3 citizens who are with us today, who participated in these events. And let's start with Sylvia. Sylvia Katsuba, welcome, and it's a great pleasure to have you with us from Poland. Sylvia is an architect, and she also worked as an architect in China, where she was teaching architecture and urban planning. And now Sylvia is working in business trade, and Sylvia is a real globetrotter, and her dream is basically to be able to work from her laptop anywhere so that she can also travel the world. Sylvia, a big warm welcome to you, and please share with us the results from the citizens' engagement event in Poland.
So our idea was outdoor entertainment for small groups of citizens, such as an open-air theaters, to enhance mental health and well-being. And the Polish group, we were really extremely concerned about the toll that COVID-19 has taken on all of us in terms of mental health and well-being. And we have made a lot of proposals in that sense, keeping in mind, of course, the beautiful and sustainable and inclusive requirement of the new European Bauhaus Initiative. And we decided that mental health needs healing right now. And one of our proposals was about creating outdoor cultural sites for togetherness. So outdoor theater to enhance mental health and well-being as mean to counteract these effects and repair our mental health. And we thought that participatory theater in our public squares or the summer theater with garden, and there will be performances for all the ages. And we think this is an action that can be carried out immediately, also engaging the artists, for example, that also have been affected by the COVID-19 situation, and of course helping curing the relationship and dealing with this and maybe in the next crisis. And another idea was to increase and improve access to public transport. And it was about remaking the public transportation in the big cities and also between the big cities and the outskirts. So the group noted that COVID-19 actually has showed that another type of mobility is possible, and that group thought that the combination of different actions basically need to be implemented, including infrastructure, making space for light forms of transport like electronic scooters and bicycle rentals, and path in the city for all of them. So the focus on the transport in the open air, that we are able to breathe during the transportation and we are not enclosed in the buses and trams. And also we talk about the improving the aesthetic of public transportation and urgent need for replacement of buses and trams for newer ecological ones. So the idea is to make transport not only accessible for different needs for residents and visitors, but also better managed and controlled.
Excellent, Sylvia. Thank you so much for these two very inspirational ideas. And I really like how you have basically suggested that, you know, we are building back the future better, that we need to make sure that we cure the mental health, and we do it in combination also with proposals in order to make our cities more livable and more enjoyable and also more beautiful. So let's move to our next guest, and that is Liz. Liz Livand from Estonia. Warm welcome to you, Liz. Liz is a psychology student at the University of Turku, and Liz would like to focus on marriage therapy in the future. That's really great. And Liz, I also understand that you have been dancing your whole life and that you are one of the best Lindy hop and tap dancer in Estonia. So that's really great. Maybe you can present your proposals while dancing, or maybe not, but we are very much interested to listen to what came out of the Citizens Engagement event in Estonia. The floor is yours.
Hi, it's very nice to be here. So our first proposal is about an open community center. Right now there aren't many places where to go with friends to do something together that does not imply that we have to buy food or drinks. We need a center that gives activities to people of all ages who are otherwise just on the streets or alone in their homes. There could be tables, seating, opportunity to do sports, crafts, and play games. Community meetings can also be held there. We have imagined it as a very inclusive space for everyone. It will tighten the local community and bring people together of different ages, and also bring down loitering on the streets and in the malls. It is targeted to all people that occasionally need a space to gather with friends, want to be a member of local community and contribute to that. As this place won't bring any money in, its development might be difficult, but it would be mainly based on volunteer work and maybe some help from the local government and donations too. And the other proposal is about care homes for old people. Aging with integrity is very important, but aging is also a very stigmatized topic. In Estonia, at least, care homes are expensive, but also often in bad conditions. Improved care homes would be a place where elderly want to go instead of where they fear to go. A good care home would be accessible to all inhabitants. It would be located in a green area, and there would be a community garden, which would keep the inhabitants meaningfully engaged. It would integrate a lot of technological solutions, making life easier, such as voice commands. People like to forget that we all grow old and sooner or later may need assistance in our daily lives. If we take care of elderly right now, then we can hope that the next generation will take care of us. It should be a development made by the government, but we all can help with ideas as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Liz. And I think this is very, very important indeed to think about how we can find solutions for the elderly. And I really like the way you said, you know, if we think about how we can take care of the elderly now, eventually it will also concern us, the younger generation. So this is really very inspiring. Thank you so much. Let's move to our third guest. It's my big pleasure to have Dimitar with us. Dimitar Shangarski Turkey from Bulgaria. Big welcome to you, Dimitar. Dimitar is working in logistics in a company that trades meat. And Dimitar, I also understand that you have learned Spanish in 3 months because you have a Cuban wife. So congratulations with that. I would invite you to share with us the Bulgarian proposals, but please not in Spanish, but in English, if that's okay for you.
Yes, that will be fine. That will be fine. So we had several proposals, but maybe 2 of them were more interesting. The first one that I will present now is we called Occupy with Schools. So in Bulgaria, we have a huge lack of problem with spaces and with places in kindergartens and in schools for children. So to solve this problem, the municipality could try to talk to investors to use spaces in new buildings as kindergartens. However, during the post-communism period, many factories closed and we have a lot of deserted buildings. So, for example, we had a very big factory called Kremikovci at the outskirts of Sofia, which is now completely not deserted, and there are a lot of green places around it. So maybe it could be reconstructed, renovated, and used as a large school and kindergarten. As the population in the big cities in Bulgaria is growing, more and more people are moving to the big cities. So our idea was to use deserted business buildings to convert to schools and kindergartens. We need innovative schools, for example, eco schools, places where the kids can have freedom to feel good, to feel safe. The schools could be more green, and for example, they could be exemplary for energy efficiency and energy neutrality. So it is the school that needs to set an example to the new generations how to take care of the future. And the second proposal I would present is the city outskirts development. So the pandemics showed us that we need to move from the big cities, the big city centers, towards the small towns, or at least towards the outskirts of the cities where it's greener. We cannot continue to live like packets of meat crowded in dirty and big cities. So this proposal is about starting the process of moving from these big cities to small towns, villages, where it's clean, the air is clear, fresh, where people mostly know each other and they have a better life there. So we want to integrate different communities to the process of modernization and to urge them to receive higher education and better salaries, even outside the big cities. In that way, the people can escape to go back to the nature. Instead of going to large shopping malls, they can meet with friends, families, have lunch outside in the nature, and it's much more attractive, isn't it? Moreover, many small towns are also, to me, as interesting as the big cities. They have a lot of culture that could present culture and history. So more or less, these are the 2 ideas we had.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dimitar, and to all of you for these really inspiring ideas. And I can see also some common threads in the proposals that you made. What really strikes me is that you put people in the heart of your proposal, and that in many of the proposals you also focus, on the vulnerable or marginalized groups in our society, like the young people, the youth, or the elderly. So I think it's really striking that you also refer to the fact in your proposals that we need to build back our communities, that we need to build back our communities better, and that we need to make sure that we have tailor-made places that are not only functional, but they're also joyful and they're also beautiful to live. And I think this is extremely inspiring, and I think with the COVID-19 crisis and the way we are now building back our society, we do have a lot of opportunity to bring these proposals into practice. So I also think a common thread of all your proposals is that we need a place to reconnect with each other. And of course, in the COVID-19 crisis and the social isolation that it brought with it, I think it's extremely important that we now focus on building back our society where we can reconnect with each other, with our communities, in spaces that are not only functional but also beautiful and sustainable. I could not agree more with all the proposals that you made, but we also have another very special guest with us whom I'm very eager to introduce. Michela Magas is with us. She is of course a designer, an entrepreneur, an innovation catalyst, known very much for the Tech Fest. And Michela, I mean, I'm very, very happy because you were the first woman innovator who won the Innovator of the Year prize for women. That was back in 2017, and there I was also very happy to have you as an inspirational speaker at one of the conferences when we were preparing Horizon Europe. And now you are a member of the new European Bauhaus Roundtable, so big congratulations with that, and thank you so much for your time with us here this morning. And I would like to give you the floor to interact a bit more with our citizens that are with us today. So Michela, warm welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rosalind. It's a great pleasure to be here and also to meet Sylvia, Lise and Dimitar, and also to hear these really inspiring proposals for projects. I only heard the Bulgarian group originally, so it's a great pleasure also to hear from the Polish and the Estonian groups. As I say, welcome, and it's a pleasure. What I would really like to ask each of you is, now that we are in the period of post-COVID-19 recovery, or we are starting the recovery, how do you think your proposals can really help this recovery of our living environment? And maybe Sylvia can start.
Okay, thank you for the question. So the first proposal is about the healing and recovering mental health and ensuring the well-being, so bringing people together and strengthening the social ties. So what we think is that we need to address the people's most immediate needs after this pandemic in order to then advance other challenges which also need to be made as well. But the idea combines the need with a beautiful and an inclusive proposal based on a very artistic approach. And for the second proposal, we are talking about the transport modes that allow us to breathe while we move, so we enjoy the nature and we improve the health and the well-being. So just in the two words is sustainable transport.
Wonderful. And there are many publications, actually scientific publications, which actually support what you are saying, particularly in utilizing culture and the arts to aid mental health. And we have all witnessed during this pandemic just how important this has been. So thank you for this. Lise, would you like to answer?
Yes, thank you. First, community centers are very much needed after isolating for so long and not being able to see friends and even family. We need places and events that would bring people back together. That would definitely speed up the recovery. And secondly, care homes. We saw many outbreaks in care homes, and people started looking for new ways to keep in contact with their older relatives. That shows that changes are definitely needed. I see post-COVID recovery as a good time to rethink our values and shift our focus from consumption and things to people and relationships. And I think that my both proposals help to do that.
This is wonderful to hear. Actually, we know how difficult it has been for families not being able to see their grandparents, for instance, for children not to be able to see their grandparents. And we have probably come to appreciate even more how important it is to take care of all generations So thank you for this suggestion. It's an incredibly important one, and we can definitely focus our recovery on something that we call transgenerational justice. It's a very long word, but it is an important one. This is about bridging all generations. So Dimitar, would you like to come in with your answer?
Yes. So COVID showed us that we have not been very aware of our public spaces. We did not care much. Now it is the chance to to improve that and to teach our kids to safeguard the public spaces while enjoying them. All the industrial buildings can be repurposed. This will vastly improve the quality of the surrounding areas. As currently such places are ugly, dangerous, they ruin the landscape.
So basically, the idea that the spaces that are important are not just in centers of cities, right? And also not just in the buildings that are always occupied, but also that we can actually make really good use of disused buildings. Am I understanding this correctly? And I think these are very, very important observations. Thank you. So again, I will ask each of you, seeing that the new European Bauhaus is focusing on these three ideas of sustainability, inclusion, and aesthetics or beauty. Would you like to tell me a little bit more about which one of those do you think is the most important in your project proposal? And we can start with Sylvia again.
So for the transportation idea, for sure it will be sustainability, and for the activities in open space, it will be inclusiveness.
Right, thank you. But also I think that beauty and aesthetics also comes into your idea of culture and the arts, doesn't it? In a sense. So in a sense, you are covering actually all three. Lise, would you like to come in with your answer?
My proposals are mainly focused on inclusiveness. So for community center, being a member of a community where you can actively share your ideas on local matters and help to bring them to life. And for care homes, the main word is accessibility, so that everyone can feel comfortable living there and enjoy all the activities like the community garden. And of course, we didn't forget sustainability and beauty too, but accessibility and inclusiveness are the main focuses.
I am so happy to hear that you mentioned this word accessibility, because it is such an incredibly important part of inclusion, ensuring that everybody has not just equal access, but we say equitable. Equitable means according to their needs. So thank you for mentioning this. This is a very, very important aspect. Dimitar, would you like to come in?
Yes. So schools and kindergartens should be more beautiful and attractive than they are now. It is where the kids grow up. Whatever they see and they experience there every day, it has impact on how they grow up, on their understanding of the world. If they see rundown, ugly places, they will get used to that. If the schools are greener, the children will also learn more easily how to be responsible, to be more connected with nature. So we think that you cannot be sustainable without inclusive.
Absolutely. So again, all three are important, but actually something that you mentioned makes me think of quality of experience. So if children have the right kind of environment, which, as you say, is beautiful, but also greener and more inspiring in this way, then they actually learn better because they have a better quality of experience. So who do you think should help you implement these projects? How would you like to get involved in the implementations? Because these are really fantastic and very important proposals. So perhaps we'll go in the same order. Sylvia, please start.
So I think the implementation needs partnership with local government, also artist communities, educators, and the whole community itself in both cases, really. And I think it's really needs strong citizen engagement. And how could I engage in these activities? For example, I would love to prepare some workshops or open air conferences or something about education or creativity.
Wonderful. This is wonderful to hear. I would love to see that happen. Lise, please go ahead.
I think that main initiative should come from the people who would benefit from the proposals, think that they need them and would use them, and of course with some help from the local government. I would like to be involved in the implementation of both of the proposals. I live in a district with a very active community and would definitely support the idea of having the community center nearby. Maybe some do some volunteer work there and help with getting it up and running.
Wonderful. So again, this is another thing that we are really encouraging with the new European Bauhaus is grassroots movements and initiatives that come from the grassroots. So great ideas that come from the grassroots and implementation that also is initiated from the grassroots. So thank you for that suggestion again, really great. And I hope that we can actually help you achieve that. Dimitar, please, let's hear your answer.
So in the case with the kindergartens and schools, it is most of the time it will be the municipalities that should be involved, maybe sometimes the Ministry of Education, but also could be involved parent-teacher associations, because this is not, they could bring the initiative. We could, in fact, I also feel already involved being here talking to you, and it's much more effective when the people are also involved and not only the administration.
Yeah, wonderful, because this is another really important aspect, which is where we can actually join forces between regional governments and the citizens, and they can actually work together on implementing some of these things. So this is really, really wonderful for me to hear, because it really echoes some of the work that we have been doing at the New European Bauhaus High-Level Roundtable. So thank you very, very much. It's a real pleasure to hear what we've been able to achieve, and I also hope that you have enjoyed working collaboratively with your colleagues, because I know that there were many groups working on these ideas. And I hope that you will be inspired to take these further. So I'd like to see these actually happen. Thank you very much. Back to Rosalind.
Thank you, Michaela, and thank you, Sylvia, Lise, and Dimitar. This is indeed extremely inspirational. Michaela, also thank you very much for coining the term transgenerational justice. I couldn't agree more. I think this is extremely important. And I think, indeed, in order to make these changes, we need to collaborate all together. And also there, I'm very happy to hear, indeed, the concrete plans that already exist to make these projects actually happen. And there, of course, we will connect all the dots between the local, regional, national and also European level. But I see, Xavier, that you are also eager to join the debate, so maybe you also still want to ask some questions to our inspirational citizens that we have with us.
Thank you, Rosalinda. Yeah, maybe one or two questions that you could successfully respond to. I mean, first one is, you came with ideas that would be inspiring probably for many places in Europe. What would make your ideas very specific for your city, for the place you come from? And maybe another question, and you can either pick and choose or respond to two, is in which way the pandemic has made the kind of ideas you have been presenting urgent to implement in a way? Where is the sense of urgency? So we may start again with Sylvia.
Okay, so I will go with the first question. And why this proposal is suitable for the place where I live is because there's a lack of such an infrastructure here. The city where I currently live, even if though it's capital of the province, is a relatively small city and not much cultural events happens here. So if you would like to participate in such an event or workshop, you need to travel to the biggest city. So I think it could be really nice to give access to such an event locally and let local people not only participate, but also create this event.
Thank you. Lise, what would be your take on any of the two questions?
Estonia is a quite small country where everyone already knows everyone in some way. So we already have quite tight-knit communities, and community center would just be a very logical next step. And care homes are actually a very big problem here, but people don't like to admit it. They are often expensive, understaffed, lonely, and overall have bad living conditions. So this needs to be changed. And a bit about the urgency too. I think that during the pandemic, we all felt what loneliness and lack of human connection can feel like. We all felt that humans indeed are social creatures. And in the pandemic, we found new ways to bring people together using technology. And I think that's now it's time to bring people back together in real life.
I could not agree more. Dimitar, what is your take on any of the two questions of both, please?
So I'll take the first one. As explained, the problem with the schools and the kindergartens, and
Shall we move to you saying how this will affect?
We have this lack of spaces, and on the other hand, we have deserted buildings which are not used. So in this case, we can solve two problems with one action. So and about the second proposal, the big cities are polluted. It's not only here in Bulgaria, but also in the other European countries. So it is almost inevitable that we have basically to have to escape from these big cities to be able to survive, to breathe fresh air, to feel better. So during the situation with the closure of the COVID, so we had everyone had to stay at one place at home, and where we stayed, it was not healthy. In small flats, if you are outside for example, in a small village, you have a garden, you can go out. So it's better to move from these big cities.
Everybody for this really inspiring discussion and also these really great ideas. I would like to reconnect now to the policy context, Xavier. So having listened to all this, how do you think this now links back to the new Bauhaus Initiative and its implementation?
I think what we heard is reinforcing in a very impressive way, I must say, the key messages that we see emerging from the big conversations we've been organizing since January. So reconnecting with nature, equal attention to the social and the people side, and to the infrastructure and the building side, particular attention to the vulnerable people and the vulnerable places, reconnecting the city and the rural areas. So all of this is something that came in our conversation and that came in the big conversation. So one first point is that it validates, in a way, the importance of engaging with citizens and the relevance of engaging with citizens to shape policy initiatives, and something that has broad implications, I think, for the EU beyond the new European Bauhaus. But as far as the new European Bauhaus is concerned, I think we will keep this bottom-up grassroots connection as a way also to shape the implementation. You have shown that you had also a plan about how to go about it, and we want to empower, that is, to keep your sense of agency and support with many different initiatives, including the city missions and the other missions, the transformation that you aspire to. So that will be a long process. In September, we'll come with a communication, a report on the design phase, and the first concrete actions. But that will be a story you will be invited to continue to participate in.
Excellent, Xavier. Thank you so much for this. So let me wrap up. I mean, I wish we could continue for a lot longer because this is so inspiring discussion. Let me just end with a few key takeaways. I think the first key takeaway there is that, you know, sustainability, inclusiveness, and aesthetics basically go hand in hand. And we have really the opportunity to build back our society, starting with tapping in the local creativity. And we've seen from these 6 proposals that there is a lot of creativity connectivity locally that we need to tap into. And this is also one of the objectives of the Horizon Europe missions, that we start basically a bottom-up process involving all the citizens involved. I also think that these proposals have shown that there is not a one-size-fits-all solution, but that there are many fits for many different sizes, and that we need also the local ownership to bring these solutions then to fruition. And another thing that I think is extremely important, because I've also seen many similarities between the proposals coming from different countries. So I think if we start locally, we can then build this up and to bring in European roots and then to replicate solutions also in other countries. And that is also something that we plan to do with the Horizon Europe missions, to really have locally adapted replicability. So with this, it was a great pleasure. I'm very, very confident in the future, and I just can't wait to build back our cities, our communities, to reconnect with each other, to reconnect with nature, and to basically have a better and greener recovery. Thank you very much. It was a huge pleasure to host you today, and please continue enjoying the R&I days. There are still many, many interesting sessions coming up. Thank you very, very much.